Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fix Your BS, where BS stands for belief systems. It also stands for balance sheets and business systems, because I like talking about all those things. Our goal is to help you build your dream life on your terms in 5 areas: relationships, business, health, finances, and obviously beliefs. And we search the internet for the best in all or any of those areas. And I've got somebody today that wants to talk about getting attention. You have to get attention in today's world. If you're going to be in business, you have to get attention. It's something I was slow on. I resisted Facebook and Instagram when it first came out, which is like so many people that listen to this. But I found somebody that is totally all about getting attention and knows how to do it. And we're going to talk about that. His name's John Cerasani. And if you don't know this guy, he's got an Instagram page, which I absolutely love. It goes all over the place and it gets attention. He is somebody who talks about giving yourself a 2,000% raise. Who here wouldn't want a 2,000% raise? I know I want one right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about how he did that, how he got attention. So, John, man, I really appreciate you being here and sharing some knowledge with everybody that's listening.
Happy to be here, Greg. I'm pretty pumped up, man. And I got to tell you, you said that right about the attention right off the bat. And I recently read an article. Was it an article or might have just been a casual conversation I had with somebody that knew, but we were talking about the Saudi Arabian government and how they have made an internal mission for themselves that, because oil is finite and oil one day will run out, get as much attention on the country as possible. And that's what they've done with Live and everything else. And that's going to be their biggest commodity 20 or 30 years from now, bigger than oil. So
it's so true though, man. Like money follows eyeballs now. It used to be. It used to be oil. It used to be land. It used to be production of something like owning a factory. Not anymore, man. It's just straight eyeballs. And so obviously you caught my attention because you have an Instagram page, which is kind of electric, man. You got so much energy in it, so much excitement. Obviously you're a serial entrepreneur. Now you've kind of went over into the investment of attention, but also you do a lot of venture capitalism too, which is awesome. So anybody that wants to look him up, by the way, they need to go to John Cerasani. It's on Instagram. We have the link below. You can click on that. But he's got 430,000 followers for a reason. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So tell me, man, like what got you into wanting to get attention online? What was the motivating factor here?
I gotta tell you, man. So I sold my company in 2015. I built it from the ground up. Was very fortunate about where it put me. I grew up in a town called Schaumburg, Illinois. Anyone that's from Chicago would be familiar with Schaumburg. You kind of get made fun of. What's Schaumburg? It's a shopping mall and a bunch of car dealerships. No, people are actually from Schaumburg, and I'm one of them. Okay. And my dad was a high school gym teacher and football coach. My mom was a Park District preschool teacher. We were not a wealthy family by any stretch of the imagination. Very, very, I guess what you would call middle class. And, I ended up in the business world and had this light bulb go off when I was 27 years old, working for a big insurance giant that, you know what, I can do this shit on my own. And I pivoted out, started my own company, and everyone told me I was absolutely freaking nuts, bro. And it worked because I'm walking away from a job. I was making it with 6 figures. I had that big title, all this crap. And it was called Arthur J. Gallagher, a very well-respected insurance brokerage consulting firm. And I walked away from it when I was one of those rising stars there, man. And it took balls, bro. It took balls. But I was fortunate. And there's a long way to get to the answer to your question here. I was able to then turn around and sell that company in 2015 and made a bunch of money doing it, man. So fast forward, had to work there at the company that bought mine for a few years. Now, all of a sudden, I'm sitting there with this pile of money. I had dedicated the last 15 years of my life to learning the trade of insurance and then building that company. It's all I ever thought about. Well, I made it. I won, for lack of a better word. And it's just me now sitting around doing jack shit. So let me dabble in some angel investing. Let me dabble in some venture capital stuff because I got this money. And, let me go invest in some cool stuff in LA and hang out with celebrities. So I started doing shit like that. And as I was going, man, I started to realize as I talked to these different, like A-lister celebrities, by the way, they were gravitated towards my story as much as I was towards them. I wanted to meet them just as much as they wanted to be around successful business people. And I would tell them that story. And of exactly what I just told you, I'll tell the longer version. I've gotten a little better at making it succinct. The story used to take 40 minutes, what I just told you in 40 seconds. But I said, I got something here, man. And now I'm out in LA. I start doing podcasts and all this other crap. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start posting on my social media business advice, and I'm going to be encouraging the entrepreneurs or for W-2 employees to take the path or look at the road of entrepreneurship. And I kind of did it in my own unique way. Really didn't copy anyone, didn't study anyone, didn't use a social media consultant. And it took a while, lost some friends along the way because I think people kind of distanced themselves from me a little bit at first because like, what is this guy doing? Especially when you're in places like LA, it's like everyone's too cool for school. What the fuck is John talking about? Then it starts to work. It starts to work. And all those people start coming back out. No, motherfucker. I saw you kind of ignore me the last year and a half. And no, you don't get in now, buddy. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's after you've risen to the top, all of a sudden you want to jump back on this moving train. No thanks. Dude, so there's two things I want to point out though. So initially when you started your first business, one of the things you just said was no one thought that it was a good idea. No one around you. And I want people to understand this because if you're going to make a difference, if you're going to do something that is out of the ordinary, no one around you will be in your corner because you're going to be misunderstood. They're literally judging you by their understanding of what they would do. So it has nothing to do with you. If you have a passion, then you should go toward that passion, which is what you did. And I think that's why it drew me toward your Instagram, because one of the things that really drew me in was it was authentic. And what you're saying is as you implemented your Instagram, people that were around you that were not authentic hopped off. And I think that's what you're saying, man. So authenticity is literally the highest vibrational frequency you can attain, and it draws people in that are also authentic.
Yeah, and I wouldn't go as far as calling the other people non-authentic. I think it was more of just a function of like, whoa, what is going on here? Because I was never, listen, I had kept my head down, and I was building my company, and this dude was the most humble guy you would ever meet, and you would never know it by now by looking at my answer. That dude is not humble, but I kind of was, but it wasn't even like a consciousness of being humble. It was more just like, shut the F up. I'm making a bunch of money over here. I don't really want anyone to know because what I'm doing is not rocket science. I don't want to start driving Lamborghinis and yelling from the top of the mountain, hey, look at me. This is how I did it. Because you know what? Other people are going to come in there and try to do it too. I don't want that. But now I do. Now I look back and I go, a lot of people could learn from my shit. And I also look back, man, I was really freaking good. I had a niche. I was very, very good at exactly what I did. So as I look back now, I kind of laugh at myself. I go, dude, no one could have done that as good as me. This was genius what I came up with, and I absolutely crushed it. So it's really kind of just like, I don't know, metaphoric kind of, okay, this is how you do it. Now you associate that to your world.
Do you think that after you sold the company, and I've talked to some people that have sold for, hundreds of millions of dollars, exited out of their company, 150, 130 million.
Nice.
And, they're sitting in this pile of cash. And also people that exit for 5 to 10 million. I mean, still you're sitting on this pile of cash and you're like, do you feel like it gives you an opportunity to figure out who you really are and find that authenticity? Do you feel like it buys you that freedom to go, I can actually just be me and not worry about not making ends meet? Is that something you went through? Because I haven't been there. I'm not there yet.
Yeah. I think it's definitely, problems that I don't feel ever exist. You know what I mean? There's problems that I'm not even aware of or not even conscious of that the rest of society probably has that I just not aware of. And it'll show its face every once in a while. For instance, I had this opportunity to rent this huge mega yacht on the Caribbean recently. And I'm like, you know what? I'll pay for half of it, and then I'll get 3 other couples to come on, and then they could split the other half 3 ways. And these are couples that are friends of mine, man, and they're making like 300, 400 grand a year collectively between the dual income and the household. I thought no brainer. And they were like, dude, I can't afford to throw in 16 grand for a vacation right now. And it's like, shit, John, you fucking idiot. Like, you know what I mean? And then I feel stupid for even saying it. And here I am thinking, so it's like, you're going to invite people to shit like that and you want to have them taste your world, you don't have them split half of it 3 ways between them and you pay the other half to pay for the whole damn thing. So I turn around and I say, okay, I'm sorry, guys, I'll do it. Then everyone kind of feels bad because these are people that I've been friends with for 20 years, way before I had money. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
so little situations like that every once in a while will remind me, hey, dude, you don't even have to worry about some of this shit out there that other people have to worry about. And yeah, where was I going with that? What was the original question, though? Oh, could I just be?
Yeah, just being, money. I always look at it as a tool. So many people have this emotional connection to it, and I look at it as a tool. So how can I use this money to better myself, to better people around me, to grow, to advance, to invest into my own businesses or into people around me, whatever. And so many people get money and they're scared of it. And I know a guy, he makes $1 million a year, literally makes $1 million a year, and he's living paycheck to paycheck. You're like, hey,
brother, yeah.
like how? What happened?
Because he has a second home that he shouldn't have got, and he's got 3 cars probably, and his third car's a $200,000 Range Rover. People do that shit all the time. They're out of their damn minds, man. They're out of their damn minds. I'll tell you what, Greg. I have put in money. I've been philanthropic. I've invested in startups as a venture capitalist. But I got to tell you, the biggest impact I'm making really doesn't have anything to do with money. It's what the money has allowed me to do, though. And let me explain that. By not really caring what anyone thinks right now, or by not really needing a speaking engagements or having to worry about getting fired, I could say whatever the hell I want on social media. All right. And whether you like it or not, that's what draws that algorithm, and people like watching that shit. Okay. Before I started just speaking my mind, I said, okay, here's the difference between an S Corp and a C Corp. You should consider this. And, it gets some views, but no one really gives a shit. Once I started yapping about, hey, you're a W-2 employee, you could get fired tomorrow. You're employed at will. Do you understand that? You think your boss is your friend? Wait till the numbers are off and he has to blame someone. Once I started talking like that, people started gravitating towards my page. Okay. And what's happened is the overall message I'm giving is motivating and encouraging. And that little bit of controversy, okay, which I never would have been able to do had I not had this pile of money and truly didn't give a shit, it would never have drawn the people there. Okay. And now I'm impacting so many more people in a positive way. The people that don't like me, it don't matter. They don't want to hear what I have to say. Okay. It's those people that didn't know any better. Oh shit. I thought something was missing in my life. Now I figured out what it is. John's right. Oh my God. Wait, he's from Schaumburg. This dude's not like a trust fund kid. He did what? With what? That's not rocket science. Wait, I could do that too. That's the way I'm impacting people because of my money. It has nothing to do with giving them money. You follow me?
Yeah, no, I totally love that. I think what you're talking about, I heard this thing one time, is like, man, you need to get to the point where you have screw you money. Screw you money is where you get to the point where you've either amassed enough investment dollars where you have more money coming in than you're going to spend living your average lifestyle. Then when opportunities come to you, you can literally go, I'm not doing that. Whereas the average individual is going to go, I've got to do it. And then they end up doing things they don't want to do.
Brother, and that number, and by the way, that number, just for your audience, this would be interesting. Screw you money, as you call it. I use a different word typically for that, but we're on your podcast, so we'll call it screw you money. It's $10 million. Once you have $10 million of net worth, you could do whatever you want. Yeah, sure. Maybe you're not going to fly a private jet to frickin', every vacation. Maybe you're not going to have the fourth home, but you don't need that crap. Okay. My mind was always like, I'm going to get $10 million by the time I'm 40, and I'm going to be able to live off 5% interest of that. That's $500,000 a year, and I don't need to save any money. And my money is going to probably go up 7 or 8% a year, and I'm going to use that to counter inflation, blah, 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 blah. Well, I ended up selling my company when I was 37 for a few dozen million. I'm worth way more than that. But that number, all the calculations were always in my head to get there. And I think that's the true, like, screw you money thing. Not much changes, I don't think, after that number, unless you get to like $1 billion or something. And I'm not there, unfortunately. I'll let you know if I feel any different at that point.
Well, I'm sure we'll stay in touch over the years, and I'll know if you're there. Yeah, that's something that's interesting because that is my exact number is 10 million. That is my
Okay.
exact number. 4 years ago, when I transitioned my chiropractic company, I'm a chiropractor by trade. And I took
Nice.
my chiropractic company and turned it into an integrated medical company. And in the meantime, pulled myself out of the treating provider. I didn't want to become key person dependent like I had been for 15 years. And this goes a lot into people understanding that the vehicle that you pick matters and
Yeah.
how you're running that vehicle. Are you the person that everyone has to come answer to? Because there is a limit, a cap of what you're going to be able to actually reach as far as a financial return off of owning that business. So I said, I cannot keep doing what I'm doing the way I'm doing it. I need to get to that 10 million mark. What do I need to do in order to generate something that is valuable enough that someone else would pay me $10 million to do it? And exactly what you just said, I'll have to stay on a few years after to make sure it continues to run, but then the investment on their part is done. Luckily, I'm still young enough to where I can do that and complete that.
Yeah.
But didn't get quite the early start as you did. But that's totally possible for everybody that's listening to this. That's the crazy part.
Well, and what I never calculated for myself, Greg, was that as I was bringing money in, that I didn't realize until I sold the company the real wealth I was building that I would one day sell that company for. I didn't realize it at the time. Instead, it was just like, okay, I only spent 300 grand this year, but I made 2 million. Okay, 1.7 million over here after taxes into my wealth management fund. Hopefully that's going to grow. And my calculations, by the time I'm 45, that'll be worth X and blah, 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 blah. No, dude. Every time I got in a client, it was going to eventually be worth 10 times that when I sold the company, because that's what the multiples for private equity were going for. Holy crap, I never took that into consideration. And to build wealth by just saving money, like I said in the first example, is very difficult, dude. I was making in the millions all through my 30s, dude. And had I not sold my company, I probably wouldn't have been at the 10 million mark at 40. I was kind of on pace to be there. But and this is a dude making a lot of money, man, a lot of money. And because dude, you know what happens, bro? Say what you want. Okay, maybe you didn't buy a Bentley or a Rolls Royce, but you're still spending more, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
You went from making 150 to 1.5. Trust me, you're not saving every cent of that. You know what I mean? And Uncle Sam's taking a big portion of it too, by the way.
Yeah, good old Uncle Sam. We could go there. Everybody needs to listen to the last episode I just recorded on tax strategies and savings on taxes. That's exactly right. But dude, so let's go back to getting attention though, because so many people are turning their attention to social media, and we were talking about this earlier. Of really, wealth is built in eyeballs. How many eyeballs do you control? How many people? How are you relevant on social media? How many people want to be around you or associated with you? And so it's interesting. I think most people are afraid of what you've already said, which is saying what you believe and saying that on social media for everyone to hear, because they're afraid of that backlash. How would you recommend somebody just goes, I'm okay with me and I'm going to say what I'm going to say because it's authentic to me?
You got to look at the real risk. You got to look at the real risk reward. Okay, so what are you actually risking if you say that? And is it people making fun of you behind your back, or are you actually risking something that has real damages? Let me give you a for instance. I couldn't do the shit I'm doing now if I still had my company. I couldn't be going on there talking about screw hey, you're a W-2 employee, quit your freaking job and go work for yourself. I can't say that shit if I was still building my company. You know why? Because I had W-2 employees.
Because you need people to come and be W-2 employees, right?
Yeah. Number one. Number two, I was selling to human resources directors of colleges and universities. I was selling employee benefit plans. So their insurance agent is out here freaking talking about screw the W-2. It ain't gonna fly. You know what I mean? And also just how I built the company in itself, man. It was I never talked about how I own the company. I was out there freaking acting like the account manager on these guys. I just slowly built this damn thing. And a lot of my clients didn't realize I own the company. So I can't, if I did the stuff I'm doing on social media right now, I would have totally had to change strategy on how I was positioning myself to the clients, because it would have definitely been a turnoff to many of them. But maybe there's other ones that it was a turn on to. Who knows? But it ain't broke, don't fix it. I wouldn't even went down that road because that would that would have been the risk. So I think so that's a real consequence, right? That's a real consequence. People whispering about you, and maybe you not getting invited to their barbecue next Sunday because you're a loudmouth. Hey man, you know what I mean? Be you, bro.
Well, maybe
Be
you're at the wrong
you.
barbecue. Maybe you should find the
Maybe.
barbecue that fits your personality, right? The people that are at that
Exactly.
barbecue.
Well, especially if it's something you believe in, and if it's something that you want to be, that's generally positive. We're about to have an election this year. Me personally, I don't go there. And when I do, I'll talk about things like, hey, here's what I'm excited about with the election. Here's what I'm not excited about. Okay, do I think we'd be if Trump was in office? Do I think we'd be at two different wars would be happening across the world right now? No, I don't. But at the same time, I think if he was in office and those wars did happen, he'd be getting blamed for them. It's very divisive when he's in office. So, this person, like, I try not to take a strong position on shit like that, just because I don't really care that much about it. Not like other people, not like other people care about it. I don't. So I don't think that's my say. So I would say on social media, maybe just be a little, maybe know, like, okay, unless you really believe it and feel strongly about it, don't just throw something political out there off the cuff because you felt it, you felt it that morning. Because there's people that study that shit and bleed that shit.
Well,
So
what you're
I
really
don't.
talking about, and I love that you said strategy, but because you're exactly
Mhm.
right. Because I look at some things that people put online on social media, and I'm like, what is the purpose of that? Like, what you're
Yeah.
really trying to do is build a brand. People don't
Right.
realize that their social media presence is really building a brand of who they are. And in
Yep.
building that brand, they are now, as a W 2 employee, going to be looked at for what they're putting out on social media. And so
Mhm.
paying attention to that matters. It is a resume now. It is a virtual resume where people
Yeah.
are, we do in my companies, we look at who who is this person? What are they doing? Are they hitting
Yeah.
the bar every night and doing shots off of people, or are they, what are they
Right.
doing? And if they're posting that online, it's like, ooh, that's a risk that we have to look at
Yep.
the company.
Yeah.
So brand and strategy, everyone should be thinking about that when they're posting online. Some people use social media, obviously, like, oh, I'm going to post pictures of my kids,
Right.
which this is one I never understood. Tell me what you think about this. You're on
Yeah.
vacation and you do a live. Look, everybody, we're on vacation. Check us out. Because you have a lot of videos on vacation and casinos
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and playing blackjack and stuff, which I love some of
Yeah.
those videos, by the way. But, they're it's a live. You just
Right.
told everyone you're not home. No one's at our house, everybody.
Yeah, I
If you
know.
happen to be a robber and you want to go to our house, we are in Cancun until Thursday
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
lives.
Bro, there's an old interview. The rapper Ice-T, dude. This is going way back when Twitter first came out. He was on like Letterman or Leno or Conan O'Brien, one of those from way back when. And I'll never forget it. He like tweeted out that he's going to the grocery store. And then he goes, why the fuck did I just tell everyone I'm leaving my house right now?
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
when they tell you
Yeah.
to put out your personal, what you're doing or your viewpoints or whatever, but like, what?
Yeah.
I'm leaving my house for 25 minutes just so everyone knows. Like, why? So you got to pay
Well, dude,
attention to that.
well, I got to pay attention to a lot of things, dude, because honestly, I'm not used to like, so I played football in college. I played at Notre Dame. Okay. And when I was a football player at Notre Dame, it's like playing freaking for the Bears or the Cowboys or something. They treat you like a professional athlete there. And they're just the community does. People that do. That's pretty cool, right? Well, that was a long time ago. We've had a lot of time between now and then. I'm not really used to this kind of like being recognized in public slash like Insta fame right now, right? So I'm still getting kind of used to it. I'm getting at the point where I'm probably gonna have to change my phone number and unpublish a couple of things just because it's starting to happen now with that stuff. But to your less than subtle criticism there, I might want to stop posting that I'm on vacation and not home for 2 weeks at a time, huh?
Well, I mean, there's different levels, right? But if you're a mom of three and you're like, we're going to Disney World and here we are at Disney, and you're like,
Yeah, right.
in a smaller community, like you just told everybody, everyone
Yeah,
knows, like it's not
that's
LA
funny.
where I live in the Midwest. There's
Yeah,
smaller communities. It's like a high school. Everybody knows.
right.
You're like, oh yeah, oh, I saw on Facebook she's gonna come back on Friday. Like,
Oh my
oh
God, that's funny.
man. I don't know. Anyway, just might want to pay attention to that, right? I'm
Yeah,
pretty
thanks,
blunt when
buddy.
it comes to certain things, so I hope you took a lesson from that. Uh,
Love it.
so, is there anything that you would like to add to, just advice? You know, so many people are trying to chase the dollar. They're chasing it.
Yeah.
Uh, is there any advice that you would give to people out there that maybe are W-2 employees, or maybe they're thinking about, man, how am I going to generate enough wealth or retirement dollars to where I can be taken care of and my family can be taken care of? Is there anything that you would say as far as advice to those people that are out there chasing the dollar?
So unfortunately, what happens is people end up changing their life goals at some point in their life when they just start doing the math. They do the math at some point, whether they're 30, whether they're 40, whether they did it at 25, whenever the hell they do it. Maybe some are doing it right before retirement, and that's really too late. But instead of changing their journey, they end up changing the goals of their destination. And what I mean by that is, hey, they wanted to have a second home in Malibu. They wanted to be able to do A, B, and C. And they have, a rental property that they bought when they were 25. It was a two flat. It's in the city now. Now they live in the suburbs. They have all this going on. Well, you stop in at 35, you do the damn math on how much all that stuff's really making you. And dude, listen, man, you're making 150 grand at your job and you're a, VP or a manager or some shit. It's a lot of money. Good job. You're doing well in your career, but do the math, man. You ain't gonna hit those other things. So then it becomes be complacent, happy with the life that you've built. Hey, maybe that was never realistic to have that second home in Malibu. Hey, maybe we're gonna stack up Marriott Bonvoy points and do a nice vacation, but we're going to do it every 2 years and we're going to do it based on those Bonvoy points. These are all concessions that you make. That wasn't your goal when you were 20, man. That wasn't your fucking goal. Your goal was to be rich, bro. And the only way to really get rich, man, is to do two things. Learn how to bring in revenue to your organization, okay? Because that's the most important job, bringing in revenue, all right? And depending on the industry it is, a lot of the other shit outside of bringing the revenue in is figure out a bull. Okay, you can figure that shit out. All right, industry like mine, insurance, servicing that stuff wasn't rocket science, man. But you know what? It was competitive and it was a dogfight. You're able to bring in business, you got something there. So if you have the ability to bring in revenue, chances are you could turn around and go be an entrepreneur and start your own freaking business. Okay, unless you're some dude that's just a relationship guy and you're a dumbass and just want to go golfing all day and let the brainiacs, you call them, deal with it. Okay, that's fine. Well, good for you. You should probably stay at W-2. And you know what? You're never going to have that house in Malibu either. Okay, so just be honest with yourself. It ain't going to happen for you. Okay, and maybe you're a complacent dude that likes to go home at 4:30 every day. That's fine. But if you have a work ethic and you're able to bring in business and you like money and you want to get after it, why do it working for someone else, man?
Dude, I love what you just said right there, though. That just I don't like the word trigger anymore. It triggered a thought in my head. Is but you said, and you like money. I don't think most people like money. I think they view money as they're negative. They actually view it as like a pain that they have to deal with, and that they never have enough of it. And that's really what they think all the time. And when you go back to belief systems, what a belief is nothing more than something you've thought over and over and over with enough emotion that it goes into your subconscious mind and it's just who you are. And most people have a negative association and belief about money. Like, oh, you got so much money. You sold your company for, multiple tens of millions of dollars. You're a jerk. You're a rich a-hole. But they don't realize all the stuff that you went through and all the knowledge that you've been speaking of based on your experience up till now.
The risk that you took and everything else along with it, man. It's risk versus reward. If you went out there and fell on your face and then you're behind, you're getting their house foreclosed because you put all your eggs in a basket and you failed. There's that story too. It's a risk, man. It's a risk. I'll never forget it.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll never forget in my mid-20s, man. A headhunter. I worked in insurance, so all these headhunters and recruiters would really call you all the time as salespeople, and it was competitive, trying to get you to go over from here to there, blah, 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 blah. And I'll never forget it, dude. He was laying out this comp structure of this company. And I asked him, what does it top off at? Blah, 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 blah. And he made the comment to me, at some point, you got to just ask yourself, what's too much money? You're making so much money. What's too much money? You got to look at the other things with the organization. And I was like 24 years old. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, there is some, as I look back now, there is something there. You know, you do want to just be happy. But the number he was referring to was like 450 grand a year. To me, that's like laughable right now. I had some asshole that was 40 years old telling my 24-year-old ass that, like, you know,
But that's based on his beliefs about what's possible. That right? Like
exactly. Exactly, dude. Exactly. And it's like, what do you mean? What's enough money? Well, who are you to tell me that? You know what I mean? And honestly, bro, it wasn't until I sold my company when I took inventory of myself and just looked at everything where I decided that this is enough money. Okay. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that my goal always was 10 million, and I was well exceeded that at that point. But I had an opportunity to get back in insurance after my 2-year non-compete was up after selling. And I looked at everything. I got 2 kids, man. I go, we're only here for this long. You know what I mean? We have one life to live, man. We want to build another company and then turn around and sell it. And if it works out perfectly, I'm worth X millions more. No, I'd rather use these next 10 years doing whatever the hell I want and post it on social media as part of that.
that's awesome, man. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. You're full of knowledge, and here's what's interesting. You know, what I would like to tell people is don't judge a book by its cover, and I talk about that a lot because you know the smartest people I've ever met are they're people that hide their knowledge because they're so free, if that makes sense. And if you just take a moment to ask somebody questions and talk to them and learn from people, what you'll end up seeing is that everyone has something to teach you. Everyone has something to teach you if you just listen to that individual. So, dude, I love your Instagram. It's very entertaining. I appreciate it. I also agree with you that obviously being a W-2 employee, you will never save your way to being wealthy. It won't happen. You won't save your way to being wealthy. Like some of these sports stars that are making tens of millions of dollars a year, they're getting taxed at 40, 50%. And they might have a lot of money, but I'll never forget what Shaquille O'Neal said one time. Yes, Shaquille O'Neal made a lasting impression on a quote on me. He said, I make a lot of money, but I'm not wealthy. The guy that signs my paycheck is wealthy.
Yep.
That says a lot about a guy that was earning tens of millions of dollars, you know? Yeah. So pay attention to that. If you have an idea, if you have something, and you mentioned like some guy that wants to like play golf all day, that dude with social media, all he would have to do is put 2 or 3 things together and he would have multiple millions of dollars from just playing golf. If he would just turn it into a business, you can do the same thing. Gary Vee did that with wine. He drank wine, turned it into a business, and just by doing videos of drinking wine, and look at where he's at now. He grew from there. So I believe every single person has the potential to start a business and to earn money off that business and to bring revenue in. I think most people are just scared to do it because they are scared of the unknown.
That's true. You know, can I share a quick, that Shaquille O'Neal thing you just said is so funny, man. I'm business partners with this guy named Josh Childress, and he played on the Atlanta Hawks for a number of years, had a really good NBA career, and we ran a couple deals together. And he's told me how he was a first round draft pick, got paid millions and stuff. And he goes, it was the second year or something, and he's in some owners meeting, and he overhears a conversation about them having about buying teams and how much money's in their bank account. And he goes, at that point, I realized there's levels to this shit. There's levels to this shit. You know what I mean? The millions they're giving me, it's like, okay, little buddy, have fun, go dunk a basketball. We're going to go buy teams over here.
Yeah. We're going to go buy a team for $450 million and turn it into a $1.3 billion team. And we're going to make $500 million and we're going to split that up between all of us. And we're not going to pay very much tax on it because we have the tax structure set up properly. What?
Boom.
What? And then you got somebody going, I want to make $45,000 a year. I hope I can do that. You're like, it's just about your focus. It's about what you're focusing on in your thought process. So, dude, this has been a very, for me, very entertaining and very exciting episode of this of what of the podcast, and looking forward to putting this out there for sure. Any final thoughts, man? We got just like 1 or 2 more minutes. Any final thoughts for anybody that's listening that you're like,
what did you see? Did you see the chat on there?
Let me see it. You're gonna have to send it to everyone. I think you just sent it to
I'm gonna just send it to myself.
to the AI or something. Yeah.
Probably
No chat popped up.
No, I wrote it to you earlier. That is so freaking funny. Yeah, man, I think
You
just
do
going
not have to be technologically savvy to make money, everybody. You don't have to be.
Exactly. You don't have to be the smartest, whatever tool in the, what is it?
Hey, let me ask you a question, John. Let me ask you a
Yeah.
question. Tell me
Sure.
about any aha moments you had on social media fame.
All right. That's a good one to end it, actually. All right, man. So because of my social media, because of my venture capital stuff, I get in the rooms with some pretty cool people. All right. And there's the sports agency called Athletes First, and they're having a party over the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. I end up at that party. There's this guy that plays for the Bears. There is a tight end for the Bears. His name's Cole Kmet. He played tight end at Notre Dame. I played tight end at Notre Dame. Cole's little sister is friends with my daughter. They work together at University of Iowa. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go introduce myself to the guy. Whatever. Got a lot in common. I go up there, tell him exactly what I just told you. Nice guy smiling, and he looks at me and goes, "Aren't you that dude on TikTok?" It was at that moment, bro, that I realized, okay, words got out. My social media is going the right direction here. So he didn't even know it, but a Bears tight end recognizing me from TikTok when we had 8 other things to talk about was my aha moment that I'm going places, Greg. I'm going places, buddy.
Yeah, I agree. You're going places, and I think you should continue doing it, being yourself, and inspiring others to take action on their dreams, and doing exactly what you talked about in this episode is really getting out of your own way and just taking action on those dreams, and don't let fear stop you. You know, anyway, I've heard the same story over and over and over. So many people say, well, I wanted to do this thing, but I didn't. And then you hear somebody like you that goes, I wanted to do this thing, and everyone around me told me I shouldn't do it, but I did it anyway because I knew it was right. And I knew it just came from inside of me, and I did it. And I think that's why most people settle, is because they know they're able and capable of doing something greater than they're currently doing. And it's depressing. They've settled.
Yep.
They've given up. They go, well, I guess I'll just settle for the life I have, instead of going for it and having the risk of getting your face slapped and falling on your face. But I recommend going for it, because guess what? In 100 years, nobody's going to remember who we are anyway. And unfortunately, and that sounds so sad, but for the most part, and even if they do, they won't really know. They'll know what the history books wrote or whatever. So, be you. You be you. So thanks, John. I really appreciate you. Everybody, thanks for watching or listening to another episode of Fix Your BS, where BS stands for belief systems, balance sheets, business strategy as well. Our goal is to help you develop the best life in your terms in 5 major categories: relationships, business, finances, health, and belief. And John's spitting some real truth and some knowledge here today. Check him out on his Instagram page. It's John Cerasani, Cerasani, and you can look that and click the link below. We'll be happy to make sure you get to his Instagram page. Go there for entertainment, but also some education as well. Thanks for listening. Until next time, I'm Dr. Greg Persley, also known as Dr. G with Fix Your BS.